I run away. I think I'll go back to that place I stay. Play on the server the TimeShot way.
Hello people, it's Poet, and we're back on TimeShot. Today is going to be a topic that I've more or less had before in some minor ways, and it's talking about equality. Now, this is something that's sort of what they would call a hot button issue, or just something that people shy away from. They don't like talking about it because there's such a controversy surrounding it. And I mean, lots of people get attacked for talking about it. Where's my TNT chest? Don't I have one? Don't I have one? Actually, I need some of these. Where's my TNT chest? Surely I have one, right? What? Am I going crazy? I swear I had a TNT chest. Did I use all the TNT and then just get rid of the chest? Am I staring right at it and I just can't see it? It's not that one. It's not any of those, I think. Fish in there. It's not in the redstone. It's not in the hoe chest. My toolbox. It's not in here. Got some more cobwebs that I need to use. What? That is so weird. I have this one little piece of gunpowder and no TNT chest. That's something I didn't expect. Okay. Anyway, that threw me off my topic and what I was talking about. But what I'm going to be referring to today is a conversation I heard between a group of people. Now, this is in no way like my attempt at attacking someone's opinion. And it's even not really a way of disagreeing with someone's opinion. It's just my side of thought. You know, it's my take on it. And I don't think that necessarily makes the other person or group of people wrong. I'm not going out of my way to start up a fight. I'm not going out of my way to essentially discredit what someone is saying is happening. This is just my take on it. And the other thing I wanted to say is that, you know, like as soon as I start talking about it, there are going to be people who watch the channel, who watch this episode, who know exactly what conversation I'm referring to. And again, like I just said, I'm not trying to go out of my way to attack anybody. I'm not trying to say that anybody is wrong. I'm just giving my opinion, and I think that's fair. And I think that that's what I'm entitled to. And my opinion, and I've said this numerous times in the series. I forgot where I was going. I need to go up here actually for a second and check a certain chest. Ouch. Missed it. Need to check in here. Oh, I don't have anything in there. Just checking. Alright. But anyway, I've said this numerous times in the episodes as you've watched. When I have an opinion on something, I often say, you know, just because I have an opinion on it, and I can be very confident in my opinion being the right one for me, I'm not saying that it's necessarily the right opinion, or that it's correct, or that it's, you know, someone is entitled to come along just as easily and have their own opinion, and then, oh, what type of block is it? I don't even know. Isn't that sad? I don't even know what type of block my own building is made out of. So I have to go all the way over to the spawn, and then I'll come back. Anyway, they're entitled to their opinion. I'm entitled to mine. If someone were to come along and give their opinion, and it convinced me of ways in which my opinion could change, or that my opinion was wrong in a logical way, I don't necessarily think that I would disagree with it too strongly. I mean, of course, I'd have counterpoints to it also, and that's happened in episodes too, like where I'll make an episode, I'll say some things, and someone in the comments will say, well, you're wrong because of this, and I still disagree with what they're saying. So, you know, you kind of reach an impasse at that point. But it's not suggesting that if someone were to come along and basically have a very good idea, that I wouldn't think about it, that I wouldn't consider it. And I love the ability to think, expand my knowledge, change my opinion. That's a really necessary thing in life, I feel, is the ability to have an opinion and then be able to change that opinion without other people criticizing the fact that you flip-flop on issues or change your mind. So is this... I still almost really can't tell if this is spruce or not, but I think it's dark oak. If I had to guess. If I had to guess, I would say it's dark oak. Which is kind of good and kind of not. Because I don't think I have a very big selection of dark oak left. What I want to work on today is just a little bit of the roof of this thing while I talk. So that's kind of why I need to go see. And it sure looks like spruce from this angle with the light on it. But I'm just going to assume that it's not. If I climb up there and I realize, uh-oh, this is spruce, well, then I'm a little bit in trouble. But that's all right. Anyway, the issue that we wanted to talk about today is inequality. And the thing that brought this up was really something that someone had said. And I'm not going to name names and mention conversations because I wasn't even a part of the conversation. You know, I heard this secondhand, and that's generally how these kinds of talks happen, is that I hear of something I wasn't a part of. More often than not, I'm not a part of it, but it still makes me want to talk about my opinion. Like, it makes me feel like, you know, I do have an opinion about this thing that I just heard about. And I feel like people should hear it, you know, whether they care or not, I don't care, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. So I heard this conversation going on, and I'm trying to be as generic as possible. So I'm just going to try to, if I slow down and have to take time about, you know, what I'm saying, that's just because, it's not because I don't really know what to say. It's that I'm more or less, I know what to say, but I don't want to reveal too much information about who I'm talking about, just to protect, you know, their opinions, because I respect their opinions. They shouldn't be attacked if I disagree with it, or, you know, so on. Because that's happened, and I hate when that happens. I'm going off on yet another tangent, but, you know, where I'll have an opinion, and I'll say it in the video, and if some people even just assume they know who they're talking about, they'll go off onto their videos, if they make videos, or they'll go onto their Twitter, or they'll go onto their server, or they'll go wherever, and they'll try to attack people, saying, well, you know, Poet said this, and you were wrong, and blah, blah, blah. And I hate that so much. Oh, I should have pillaring blocks like dirt. So, inequality, and specifically inequality related to men and women. Now, I've known a lot of feminists in my short time on this planet, but both men and women feminists, several of whom were extraordinarily good friends with me. And so I've definitely heard that side of the argument, like the extremely passionate side of women's rights. And strangely enough, I've actually heard of the opposite, where, you know, men's rights, people who think that, you know, men deserve what they have and what they get and blah, blah, blah. Whether that's wrong or not, you know, that's up to them. They're the people who are passionate about it. I don't think anybody who has a passion for any kind of subject is necessarily wrong, you know. even if it's a thing that a lot of people find unnecessary, or, you know, like men's rights. I don't feel like, and this is just me again, personally, and I'm going to stop putting that little asterisk beside everything I say because it'll get old. But you just got to realize that everything I say during this talk is my opinion. Like, this is just me. And again, I can be wrong. Whoa. Hello. What a inopportune time to do that. Let's just try to join again, please. I'm in the middle of a very important talk. The server must be run by a male-ass activist. Oh, okay, here we go. Anyway, I'm going to stop asterisking this, as I say. This is just my opinion. But, you know, I don't feel like men's rights necessarily need people to kind of stand up on their soapbox and declare that we need rights and that we... I mean, men have had it pretty good through history. So, you know, I'm kind of okay taking a back seat. I'll be honest. Perfectly fine with that. But anyway, what happened recently is that there was a group doing an event, hosting an event. And it happened that this group was essentially empowering women in what they did. And it was kind of, that wasn't the intent of it. That wasn't the intent at all of what this group was doing. But they were empowering women in that they were all women in the group. So what happened is essentially they were proud. They were very proud of the fact that they were all in this group and that they were all women in this group. And that makes sense. And that's fair. They're entitled to be proud of the fact that they're all women and they're all in a group. What happened, though, is that they were proud of it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, let's go and chop these down. I apologize for cutting my thoughts in half, but that's what happens when I build. They were proud to be all in the same group as women. And it was like, yes, we're empowering women because we're showing that, you know, it's not that we were asked even to be a group of women doing this. We just so happen to be a group of women doing this. And that is awesome because it's not really in an industry that necessarily believes that women are in the forefront, you know. It would be like having I'll just give another example. Let's just say a male-dominated group of people, like firemen, let's say. Firemen. I don't know the politically correct way to say it, but let's say firemen, right? Well, oh, you know what would look cool? I'm actually gonna chop that. But anyway, let's say they were firemen, right? And it just so happened that they were at this event and they were talking about, you know, forest fires or a fireman related issue, topic, whatever. And what happens is they all happen to be women, and that's really cool. Like, oh wow, it's a panel that's all women. That's not really how it was advertised or anything. That's just, it happened to be that way, and that's kind of really cool that it's that way. But what happens... Oh, how do I do this now? I'm getting confused with my build here. I think I'm going to try this. Nope. Wasting blocks. There we go. Does that look all right? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I gotta sit and think about this for a split second, guys. I apologize, but... No, that looks all right. It looks kind of how I wanted it to. All right, so let's move on. So you got these people, and they're talking about something that, you know, they're in an industry that's typically male-dominated, and all of a sudden they're all asked to be on this group to talk about it at a conference, and it's empowering women, and it's not empowering women on purpose. It just is, you know, because it happens that they're in a male-dominated industry, and they happen to all be women talking about an issue. So that, like I say, is really awesome that they were able to basically do that. You know what I mean? But then what happens next is kind of where I sort of scratch my head, because it sounds a little bit hypocritical in that what happens next is essentially a man or a couple men get added to the group. And the problem then becomes like, well, you know, we figured that this would be a group of women, and now it's just a group of people, and it's no longer empowering. And that's kind of where I have an issue, you know, like I don't quite agree with that. Or I don't really have a problem with that, I'll say. You know, that's... Yep. I missed my jump so bad. 113. Oh, man. I was just trying to see what level that one was on, and I was just distracted by what I was trying to spit out, and I just couldn't. I just dove to my death. Took the oxygen out of the room. But now, okay. So, what happened is they added men to the group, and it stopped being this wonderful thing about empowering women and became this group of just normal people talking about this thing in this industry. The panel is still mostly dominated by women at this event. So what are your thoughts on this? Is it disappointing? Maybe, you know, because there is something to be said about empowering, especially young girls, in doing something and believing in something and knowing that they can do something with their lives. Knowing that, you know, they're not alone and that they, you know, I don't need to explain what empowering is about. But essentially, yeah, they suddenly feel like they have the ability to do something that they thought they wouldn't have the ability to do. But is that in itself an old way of thinking that we should be getting past? And that's sort of where my kind of wave of thought starts to begin and start and go. I good with words. I talk for a living, people. Jesus. All right. So basically, I get it. I get that, you know, empowering women is awesome when it happens. Is it something that still needs to happen on a level where, you know, it's this important? Now, hear me out, because I'm coming from the mindset that women and men are equal. And that's sort of, well, I know that that's where feminists want to be. I mean, of course, some of them believe women are superior, and in several ways they can be. I am on the brain wavelength that we're equal in way more ways than we're superior than each other. All right, let me try to do this again without dying. Okay, what level am I on? All right, perfect. But I think that in today's society, and I could be wrong, and this is where especially I could be wrong. Like, I'm not a woman, I'm not a girl. I didn't grow up as a girl. I'm me. And I have always grown up knowing that men and women were equal. And to think differently would be sort of, well, very difficult for me. I can't picture myself thinking otherwise. But I guess, and I know that there are men out there who do truly believe that men are superior for some reason. I don't know why. I honestly can't look into their brains and figure it out. Logically, it doesn't make sense. It's as stupid as saying that, one race is better than another. It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. There's no basis in truth there. But there are people who believe it for some unknown reason. They just believe it. And it is what it is. But I'm not that way. And nobody I know is that way. I don't have any friends who think that. I never have had friends who thought that. Growing up in a very white-collar, middle-of-the-country school system where I was, it seems like, oh, that's the perfect place to have bigotry and judgmental ways of thinking. But no, we just didn't, and so to have this sort of a challenge come up saying like, well, it would have been nice to have this panel empowering women. My thought is, why is it a bad thing to have both genders on the panel, though? I mean, this brings me back to just what I was saying, in that we really should be moving past it in this day and age. We're beyond, I think, I hope that we're beyond the assumption that one gender is better than the other. Like, this is, maybe I'm putting too much faith in people, but I've never experienced it. I've never even seen it. People can say women get paid less, typically, in the same positions. I was a manager for 10 years, and I can tell you absolutely that there were women in the industry who were getting paid way more than I was. I didn't make a stink about it. I didn't assume that it was gender biased. I assumed that they were more either they had negotiated better, they were more qualified, they had better talents, whatever the case may be. I worked in an office. I was in an IT office of how many people were there? I think there were about 7 or 8. I'm gonna say, like, I think there were 8, as many as 8. And you might be shocked to know that I was the only man who worked there. Honestly. And that wasn't because, we were trying our hardest to be, we were trying to hire women specifically. No, it's that, you apply for the job and you're qualified and you get hired for that job. That's just kind of how it works. So for me, even the way that I was in my work experience, I haven't experienced some of these hardships that women seem to be having when they really want to have this equality. But here's the thing, and this is kind of what sparked my whole thoughts on it, is that you can say that you want equality till the cows come home, but if you get upset when both men and women are added to a group, then that's not equality. You're being hypocritical. You're wanting women to have an advantage. And granted, they haven't had a lot of advantages throughout history. To have true equality, nobody should have an advantage. And it should be, well, equal. You know, that's equality in a nutshell, you know. Equal rights, equal ability, equal opportunity. And so therein is my take on it, if you will. I just think that both men and women deserve the same opportunities. And if they're getting the same opportunities, that's the most wonderful thing. That's not a disappointment. That's not a bad thing. I think that women will empower women by just being successful, you know? Not about, you know, being, what's the right word for it? But, you know, not special in any way, not superior, but just successful. Am I fur enough down? Am I fur enough? I'm way too far, actually. Because what I wanted to do, let's just go like that, I think. Yep. And then like that, maybe. And like that. There we go. Now I got to do it on the other sides. I don't... Oh, yeah. I got enough. So, what is your take on it? And I want to hear from especially the people who do believe still that there is this humongous gender issue. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist in some places. It must. It must, because I don't think that these people are insane and that they're making it up. Obviously not. I want to hear about these experiences because I haven't experienced it. And coming from someone who hasn't experienced it, I think my view on it might be skewed quite a bit. Maybe in a good way, almost, you know? Like if I really don't think that there's an issue, maybe that's the best step forward that we can get, is that, you know, if it's really that difficult to see the issue, I don't think it's me turning a blind eye. I think that if I saw the issue happen, I would be the first one to really rant about it, because it's something that I do believe, is that men and women are equal. You know, I know that there are trolls on the internet, definitely trolls who go out of their way and say things, but those are just trolls. They're just people being jerks for the sake of being jerks. They'll say anything. They'll call you ugly when you're beautiful, and they'll call you ugly when you're not. They'll never call you beautiful. These are people just on the internet being people on the internet, you know? Does that mean that there's this humongous problem in all of society? No. The internet is a terrible, scary place, and it's very different than the way that the rest of the world thinks, I believe. I don't think that it's people just using their anonymity to say what they truly feel. I do just believe that people are being jerks for the sake of they want to be a jerk. At least that's my opinion about people on the internet, if that's what you're going to use as your example. If you have a other real world example, I'd love to hear it too. But when do we get to move on? You know, it's like any kind of equality issue. Eventually, there must be, in order for there to be progress, there must be a point in time where we can look at it and say, you know what, it's time that we move on. That this is no longer an issue, that we are truly equal, and, you know, maybe I shouldn't be looking at it so with so much scrutiny. You know, maybe I shouldn't be criticizing this group for having only men, or maybe I shouldn't be criticizing this group for having only women, or maybe I shouldn't be criticizing this group for having both instead of one or the other. Maybe I should just be happy to be a human being and, you know, leave it at that. So, you know what I'm going to do? I got a silk touch pick. I'm going to actually fix some of these pillars that I made here, my terraforming, because I didn't use grass blocks. It can't spread up there. So I'm just going to get some grass here. But that's my thought on it in a nutshell, is that we should be able to say, you know what, let's move on and just be humans together and love each other and be happy with who we are. I speak for myself, you know, if I'm not good at something, it's not because I'm a man, it's because I'm just not doing good enough. You know, and that's also one of the issues. Is, you know, is it an equality issue? Is it just that, you know, you aren't qualified? What is it? What is the issue? There are many, many, many different ways you can look at many, many different situations, come up with many, many different opinions. So there we go. That'll all spread and do its thing. I think that people are quick to often criticize when they haven't been picked, or when they're not chosen for something, or when something goes wrong. They're quick to say, well, it was because of this thing, that my gender, whatever equality issue you might have. But I think at the end of the day, we're almost ready to move past that. I hope we are. I want to move past it. And I think that that's my hope for wanting to move past it, is why it bugs me so much when I still hear about people saying things like, well, now that we're a group of people who are equal in gender, I'm not happy with it because I feel like it should have been empowering women. But at the end of the day, you know, I just feel like you're empowering women by being there, by being a woman who is there, doing the same things that men do. Like, that's the best way to do it, is to not so much force it, more or less, or say that, you know, we're not equal, women can do better than men, or are doing better than men. It's to do what you do, continue to do it, and prove by doing, more or less. Prove to young women out there, young girls out there, that they can do anything. And I think that's what they're being taught these days. Obviously they are. And that's the right way to look at it. There's no reason why they shouldn't. And I think that that's part of where my thought of it being a negative comes into play, because I feel like the more we discuss being a woman as being a trial, or being a difficult thing, or being something that you need to fight for your rights, something that we need to fix in some way, where you have to criticize others for not being women, or, you know, that kind of mentality. It's the wrong one to have, in my opinion. I just feel like if we grow up being equal, And nobody's there saying, well, we aren't equal, so we really have to work hard. I think if we were to grow up being equal, why would anybody think otherwise? It just doesn't make sense. I mean, we're coming from a society where we didn't grow up equal, and we knew it. But have we moved past that? Can we now say we are equal, so let's just raise our children, raise our kids, raise ourselves to just be equal and think that we're equal and accept it for what it is? If I'm in that group, then, you know, I was looking at it this way, and maybe this is like a what's the male form of a feminist? A manist? Mayonnaise. That's what they are. I was looking at it this way, in that if I were the guy who had been added to the group, say, you know, it's a group with 7 or 8 women on it, and I get added as the one man, maybe there's 2 of us, you know, if I were to learn that I wasn't welcome there, or that that they didn't want me there because they were trying to prove a point, or that they wanted to empower some group of people, you know, part of me would still feel bad about it. Part of me would be upset about it. You know, I got where I am because I worked hard, and because I'm a human being who happens to be part of that industry. Why are you wanting to force kind of a segregation of gender? It bothers me. It bothers me in that sense, because, and here's my last point about it. I'm just wandering now because I've finished doing what I did with my tower. I didn't have any other building exercises planned. Maybe what I'll do, I'll go to the Pirate Island because I want to start working there. I really don't have the resources, but I can gather some over there. My last point was going to be essentially that as someone who didn't grow up in that kind of mentality, and again, I don't know anybody in my personal life who is that way, and I get the impression that they don't think that way, that men are better than women, or that women have it worse than men, or that men have it worse than women. I feel like, I don't know. Does that look good to you guys? What do you think? Does that look all right? I kind of like it. I kind of like it. Sort of adds something. Anyway, as someone who hasn't grown up in that sort of mentality, you know, I'm not from the 40s. I'm not some old cantankerous coot who spits at women because they should do the dishes all day and that's their job. You know, nobody grows up that way anymore. And fewer people have that way of thinking. You know, I think that, what was I going to say? Basically, it's sort of upsetting to sort of still be cast in that light, that men are getting everything handed to them, and that women aren't simply because they're women. I think, you know, if it was me doing the hiring and someone accused me of that, you know, that would be absolutely ridiculous. But how do you even fight that as a man, you know? It's just, it's tough to try to say that you're being equal and that you're giving equal opportunity when, you know, it's coincidence more often than not that a certain group of people end up doing certain jobs or certain roles or having that kind of thing. And how do you prove that you aren't biased in some way by going out of your way to hire someone who might not be qualified, but hey, they're a woman, or someone who's way overqualified because, you know, they're a woman and they're just gonna leave in 10 years because, or well, not 10 years. I mean like 2 years, because they're way overqualified and they're not gonna have a great time here. But whatever, they can't get a job elsewhere, so let's just hire them. It's this. I'm digging myself a hole here at this point, because I want there to be equality, and I don't want there to be an issue, and I haven't grown up with this issue. And to hear people talk about it, it just upsets me. I don't know why. I feel like we should have been moved on from this point. You know, we should all be... I live in the world of Star Trek, you know? I grew up with Star Trek, where nobody was different. Of course, in the original Star Trek, the women still wore skirts. In the brand new Star Trek, the women still wear skirts. And it became, you know, at first it was a gender issue. They changed it. Okay, well then we'll all wear pants. We're all equal. If a woman wants to wear pants, great. If she doesn't, great. If she wants to wear a dress, great. Whatever. And then in in the new one, now it's empowering women because, hey, they should be able to wear skirts and not feel bad about it. But I grew up in this kind of mentality where we should all be equal. And when you look out the window and you're not, it confuses me and upsets me. But I don't mean any harm by it. I hope you guys understand. And I want to hear both sides to this argument, if you call it an argument. Yeah, I want to hear both opinions. But I feel like, regardless of the opinion, what's the ultimate goal? Is to be equal. And I'm already there. What's taking you so long to catch up? At least that's my opinion. So we'll take it from there. And we'll be seeing you guys next time on TimeShot. I'm going to maybe start doing a little bit of building out here. Possibly. I had an idea for something I wanted to build in this area-ish. So we'll see. Or maybe I should start building something over on that little hill there. We shall see. So anyway, with that, thanks for watching. Like this video, comment below, and do all those other awesome things that people do. And yeah, give me your opinion. Like I say, I have seen both sides of it. I watched a show the other day, and there was this hillbilly of a man who truly didn't believe that women could do anything. And, you know, this was a real person. It's not like he was acting. He actually thought that. There are idiots everywhere. There are men who are idiots. There are women who are idiots. I think they're also equal in that sense, too. So, kind of take it from there. Again, thanks for watching. We'll be seeing ya. Bye-bye.